right, welcome to You Didn't Get the Memo Show. I'm your host, Gloria Bailey Ray. Hey guys, as always, we have a fantastic show for you today. If you love music, if you're a jazz lover, I am here to tell you my guest. Look, this I'm going to say straight out of Chicago, Chi-Town, is here with me today. But before we get started, again, I want to welcome all of you guys to the You Didn't Get the Memo Show and remind all of you that the show is an interactive show, meaning if you have questions or comments, you can place them in the comment section. We'll do our very best to respond to you. In addition, we are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, as well as LinkedIn. We are nationally and internationally, and I love it. I love it. I love it. A gentle reminder again that starting on May 1st, guys, I will have my own channel on BTV that will air all of my shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All you have to do is go on and download the BTV app, and it's up under the Memo Show. So you'll be able to stream me 24/7. Listen, and if you're a business owner, and you want to advertise, please reach out to me at the letter U, didn't get the memo, at gmail.com, and we will be able to talk about this, right? So, again, shout out to all my viewers and thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. But I tell you, my guest today is jazz artist Mr. John Dokes. And I am telling you, this brother is just dope. Sing his, can I say his behind off, dance his behind off. He just the showmanship, the voice, all of that. So I'm excited to bring to you, John. Thank you so much for joining me today on You Didn't Get the Memo Show.
Thank you for having me, Gloria. I appreciate it. Great to
Yeah.
be here.
Oh man, this has been. I have been looking so forward to this ever since I booked you. What was that? 2 months ago or
It was
so.
1970 something. I forget what year that
Right.
was. I think it was before the interwebs.
Well, look, you are here now, and we're not going to let you go. So, I want to just start with first of all, I like to also ask my guests to tell the viewers your backstory. Tell the viewers because they want to know now where'd she find this brother at? Who is John Doe? So, tell us a little bit about your backstory, where you grew up, your musical training, etc.,
How much?
etc.
How much do they want to know? That's. I mean, how much do they want to go back? Um,
Well, we'll see. So I'll punt it to you.
I was born in Little Rock, Arkansas, raised in Oakland, California. I just did the math. I spent most of my life in New York, and I just moved to Chicago last year. Let's see, talking about my jazz history. So I actually started with music from my father. My father was in a group called Top Priority, and they also had a name, the Realistics. And I saw him singing, but I didn't actually start singing until later in life because as I was growing up, I didn't think anybody wanted to hear my voice because I didn't sound like my father. But at some point, I realized later in life that some people actually wanted to hear me sing, and I was inspired to actually take a chance on singing from one of my dance partners, Dawn Hampton, who heard me singing while we were dancing Lindy Hop in the club, and she said, "You should get up there and sing with the band." And so I surprised her for her, I think it was her 75th birthday, and sang with the band. And then the band asked me to start singing with them on a regular basis, and then it became this thing that was part of what I do. So.
Wow. Okay. Somebody had to tell you in terms of singing, right? And I can't wait for people, guys. Look, I'm flashing all of his information. I need you to check him out on YouTube. I think I've listened to every single song
Well,
on YouTube more than 3 times. So
are you okay? Because that's a lot of that's a lot. I feel for you now.
I know. I'm like, oh, I just look, I can't get enough. Just can't get enough. So I'm just saying, this is the person, and this is why I do this show because people like you who are out there doing so many awesome things, and your voice is man, velvet.
Thank you.
That's the thing. It really and truly is. So let's talk a little bit about your journey to becoming a singer. So you gave us a little bit of the backstory. Your dance partner. Now I'm going to want to know more about that because, like I said, you got some moves, brother. So a dance partner. So I want to hear about that. But let's just go back and talk about your journey to becoming a singer. Like, who inspired you to make music? Now, you said your dad, but I also know that there were probably others that are other musicians or artists around you that were also singers and things. So, kind of take us on that journey.
Well, my brother's an amazing piano player, so there's there's also that part of it. Um, going back to sort of when I first started to sing publicly, you know, it's interesting. Like I started out like really in karaoke because I was like, I want to just see if people are going to run away when they hear my voice. And so I went to like every karaoke bar in New York City, and I was like, I sang the same song in different places because I didn't want to, you know, bore people. And then I really got serious about it and started taking lessons and started really training my voice to sing in the style that I wanted to sing. And then I started to make sure that I put myself in a position where I was around real musicians who are actually doing it on a regular basis and was able to sort of put myself in a position to perform with some of the best people in the world. And that's sort of what drives me when I think about performing and think about singing. It's really being around the musicians who have spent their lives developing their craft and learning from them on a regular basis. Musicians like David Gibson, Steve Einerson, the late Lawrence Leathers, Alex Claffey, um, Eddie Pizzant, like all these wonderful musicians who just have brought so much to the craft. And in thinking about sort of even how I got to that point, the person I mentioned, I sang with the band. The person who actually allowed me to join his band on stage was George G. And his big band, and so that was performing with them for a number of years has been, a great part of my life.
Yeah. And just listening to your backstory, let's back it up for a second to you're talking about karaoke. And somewhere I read that
That was
you
supposed to be a secret, by the way. I don't know if why I told you that. That was like you're already pulling secrets out of me that I didn't tell you.
well, the fact that you wanted to perfect that song, and I'm like that. I have that one song that whenever I get a chance to get on stage and sing, I sing that one song, right? So, but the fact that for you, you actually took it a step further and decided I needed to surround myself. And that's when you decide that it's time for me to elevate where I'm at and take myself to another level. And that to me speaks to self confidence, but at the same time recognizing, because a lot of times people get stuck. You see folks that say, oh, you good, but nobody's ever pushing you to say, look, you need to move forward, go do this, do that. And I applaud you for even recognizing that. That's the difference.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. For me, it's when you go on stage with musicians of the caliber that I've had a chance to be around,
Hmm.
uh, you sort of raise the expectations you have for yourself, and you owe them a better version of yourself, and you owe them sort of the effort to continue to get better on a regular basis. And so, you know, if I didn't do that, I would be letting them down and letting myself down. So I have to keep trying to improve what I do and make myself better each day.
Yeah, you talked about some of the people that, and I would say I'm going to call them influencers, their music and what they bring and what they brought. Because some of the, you're talking deceased, some of these artists are
Mhm.
deceased, what they brought to the table. And one thing that also just pulled me to wanting to have you on the show. My father was an organist and a pianist, and he was a very accomplished one. And of course, growing in the South, I'm from Arkansas too. We're down the road from Little Rock.
Mhm.
You blink half an eye and you miss it. Louise, no disrespect. I see the Arkansas folks on here. But the thing is, my father was the community piano teacher. And so a lot of both black and white, people took piano lessons from him. But one of the things that my dad loved, Duke Ellington band, I mean, my father, and I don't know, I'm really dating myself, the old 33 and the third albums, right? Thick, big. But he was so into music, and that's how he and my mom met. Literally, he said I was at a juke joint and your mama showed up with that 36, 24, 36, and she was, dancing to the music. Now, my mom, I will tell you, she didn't play. She wasn't one of those. But my father, he
Yeah.
kept us laughing all the time. But the love of that music that he has, or that he had, my father's deceased now, and hearing you talk about it, it just brings back so much as to why we really need to continue to embrace the arts. We need to highlight artists who are out there doing what you do. Right.
Yeah.
And people need to recognize, people need to say, look, it ain't always about the thunk and the funk, because in that, right, what you bring is a whole nother level of music, and I love that, and I want to thank you for that.
Well, thank you for appreciating that style of music. And, when I was growing up, my father, his group sort of they played in the style of the Temptations, the stylistic
Hmm.
dramatics. But he exposed me to Nat King Cole and Johnny Mathis and all these amazing vocalists
Hmm.
that I didn't realize that they were going to sort of hit me years later in a way that that I didn't expect.
Right.
So when I go out and I do standards that Nat King Cole has done, or Joe Williams, both Nat King Cole and Joe Williams, from Chicago. I
Hmm.
just happen to be in the city surrounded by another batch of great musicians here. Um, it's just a different feeling you get when you are singing and listening to this type of music. Um,
Hmm.
Even going back further and thinking about the dancing part of my life and Lindy Hop, I grew up dancing, and the way I got into Lindy Hop was because I didn't want to be the old guy at the club, but I wanted to keep dancing. When you dance Lindy Hop, you're usually not the oldest guy at the club, and so it allowed me to sort of dive deep into a different type of music. And when you're dancing Lindy Hop, usually people are always smiling.
Hmm.
There's a lot of different styles of dance you could do, and sometimes you get the mean mug on when you're doing certain dances.
Right.
Lindy Hop, you got a smile on your face.
I love it. I love it. And like I said, we're gonna, hopefully I'll be able to gear up and play this one video, so you guys don't go anywhere, as it relates to watching your showmanship and dancing and singing at the same time. So, you talked about the music that you perform,
Mhm.
and when we talk about big bands, swing music, cool jazz, right? Would you say that you lean more towards one or the other, or you are a culmination of all of this rolled into one?
Yeah, I think when I first started, I had the opportunity to perform with George G. Swing Orchestra, and so a lot of what I was doing for a while was mainly big band music. Um, and then you start to get different inspirations, different artists as you continue to listen to music and continue to grow as an artist. Different things start to inspire you. So, part of that early sort of exposure to music also included Bobby McFerrin, and so his content inspired me. The other artist that stands out right now is Mark Murphy. He's an amazing artist. Kurt Elling, who's also local to Chicago, is also inspiring. Um, a younger artist, Michael Mayo, is inspiring to me. So there's a lot of different things that come at you, and so you hear different versions of songs that you like, and you hear new songs, and you think about what you can do differently with songs that you've been singing for a while, and then you also think about what you can create that's new and that's exciting, and what style it's going to be. So each of my albums have original tunes that I created, and so it inspires you to just do something different.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Um, we're going to take a really quick break, John. And when we come back, I want you to just talk a little bit more about your performances with the George G. Swing Orchestra, if you don't mind. And then we're going to talk about your trilogy of CDs.
Okay.
We want folks to get that music, definitely. So think about that. Guys, don't go anywhere. Thank all of you that are tuned in. I really appreciate you guys being here. You're watching the You Didn't Get the Memo show with my awesome guest, Mr. John Dokes. We'll be right back, you guys.
My Shiro doesn't always wear a cape, but she always has time for a hug, a smile, for going the extra mile. My Shiro stretches every dollar, puts in long hours, puts others first. But now it's your time, Mom. When you're ready to retire, we want you to be able to enjoy it. It's time to start saving now. A free 3-minute online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to start boosting your retirement savings today. Visit aceyourretirement.org/Shiro.
It takes less than 1 minute to find out if you may have prediabetes. You can do it here. But you probably won't. You're busy. Kids, work, show coming back in 48 seconds. So let's do this now. Hold up one finger if you're a man. Women, 0. 3 more fingers if you're over 60. 2 over 50. 1 over 40. If you're not sure, keep in mind you're sitting on a couch right now. So 1 more finger if you're not very active. 1 finger if yes, 0 if no. 1 yes, 0 no. Next, find the body type that looks most like you and hold up that many fingers while I look around awkwardly. And that's it. If you're holding up 5 fingers or more, you probably have prediabetes. Sorry to be so blunt, but hey, you're busy. Just go to the site.
All right, I want to thank you guys so much for hanging in here and for tuning in. You are here with me on the You Didn't Get the Memo show with my guest, Mr. John Dokes, who's a jazz artist, and we're look, I'm pulling out some stuff about my guest and talking about what it is that
Don't pull out too much stuff.
don't pull out too much.
We don't want to scare the interwebs.
Well, here's the thing. We're going to keep it, but we want to talk a little bit more. Before we went to break, John, one of the things that I asked, if you would talk a little bit more about your performances with George G. Swing Orchestra. And I asked that question because there are people who are on here who may not know anything about, swing orchestra. What are we talking about in terms of swing? And it's also an opportunity just to educate. Listen, you guys, look. Don't hit me up. I'm just saying, maybe there may be somebody who needs to know this information. So my guest, jazz artist Mr. John Dokes, we're going to talk about, because he sings with the George G. Swing Orchestra. And I don't know if that's kind of like a regular gig that you do all the time. You're out doing some other things, but can you just talk about first about what that's like? When we talk about orchestra, we're not talking about 1 or 2 instruments and some synthesizers and that kind of stuff, right? We're talking about real deal horn section, string section, those kinds of things. So, what say you?
Yes, I think he has 2 configurations: a 10-piece band and a 17-piece band, and it's been an amazing experience. We used to perform. He still performs every week at a place called Swing 46. I was there with him for many years, and I still perform with him. I fly back to New York and fly different places around the country to perform with them as well. And just through that experience, I was able to play all over the world. And it's just been an amazing opportunity that he gave me to perform with them. I think we played in Jordan, Brazil, France, London, Budapest. I played not with him, but separately. Um, just an amazing time traveling with the band and just getting to know the musicians, getting a chance to sort of like dive in deep and understand how they're approaching the music and what they're thinking about um, when they hit that stage. So it's been an amazing journey. And you asked about sort of like what type of music it is. I mean, George's band gets you moving. So like that's sort of what their signature is. They make you move on the dance floor. So if you're ready to Lindy Hop, George music.
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. Yeah. Look, we got a couple of comments, and I think that you will totally appreciate this.
Now I'm getting nervous.
Yeah. You know what? Um, you, Emmanuel, hey, holla. Thank you. But look, somebody wants to know if you're going to be at Yoshi's in Oakland anytime soon.
I think that somebody should start a letter writing campaign to Yoshi, so I can be at Yoshi's pretty soon.
I agree with you. So, Miss Carolyn, let's do it. Let's bring him in, because that's one of the things, and that would be an awesome venue for you to be able to perform in. So, that's. For me, I would say, yeah, that's a great question. Thank you for asking that, Miss Carolyn. I appreciate that. So I also said in that three-part question that I asked you,
you have to be careful. Like, my memory is not what it used to be. Like, when you ask the 2 to 3 parts, like I get the one part,
poof.
The other parts, they're somewhere out there.
Right. Okay.
Waiting to be answered at some point.
Okay. Well, let's talk about your trilogy of CDs, and whenever I see trilogy, there is something that happens. So there's 1, 2, 3. So tell us a little bit about how this came about, and why would you name it a trilogy of CDs?
Well, so there are 3 CDs that I've released. The first CD was John Dokes Sings, George G Swings. That was with the big band, and that was really me sort of getting excited about the music that I was performing with the band and just wanting to put it out there. So that I actually put that off to the side a little bit, because that is in and of itself an experience, and I want to do more sort of big band CDs with George and with other bands. But the trilogy, when I think about the trilogy, I think about the small group CDs that I've done, and the first one was with my rhythm section, Steve Anderson, Alex Claffey, Lawrence Leathers, and David Gibson on trombone, and David and Steve put some of the arrangements together for that one. The second one was with the same rhythm section and Mark Gross on saxophone. And I would like to do a third CD that's a small group CD, this time with a trumpet. It's been delayed. Unfortunately, after the last CD came out, Lawrence Leathers passed away. Amazing drummer, amazing musician overall. He just meant so much to the community, the jazz community, and we miss him dearly. And so that third one is on hold for a little bit, but we're going to get back to it with another rhythm section and with a horn. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, I would like to share a little snippet of you performing with George G.
Oh, there's visuals? You didn't tell me there was visuals.
Now you have to pirate stuff, stuff. So, look, let's see if we can do this and pull it off. All right. And so here goes. This is our sweet as it can be. Before I let you make the fool out of me.
I'm glad you didn't show me pulling my hamstring after that.
Well, I'm looking at the footwork and I am like, oh my goodness. So on a show and people are saying, let's go. So I'm loving it because, like I said, the showmanship, you know, here you are. And again, okay, so you're in Chicago, but that's just a plane ride to California. So we're gonna have to see because I'm looking at the comments and people are like, "Let's go, come on now." So, so we want to be able to bring, Black artists and bring them to Yoshi's. And Yoshi does a lot of things, but jazz is, in many cases, I personally love jazz. I love jazz. When I'm not listening to gospel, I'm listening to jazz. So that's the thing. And I just appreciate what you do in your voice, like I said. So get prepared, just speak it into the atmosphere that you're going to be at Yoshi's and we need to book you, a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and a Sunday sit. How about that?
Sounds good to me. I'm ready. Let's make it happen.
Okay. And notwithstanding, I think your parents are close by. So, you get to get some of your mom and dad's home cooked meal.
And get some of that gumbo.
Oh, yeah.
Gumbo.
Okay.
Mom,
yeah. So
some gumbo.
hopefully some gumbo. All right. Well, look, count me in. I want a bowl too, right? So let's talk about, John. What living or deceased musician do you admire the most and why? Because everybody has someone that they admire.
Yeah, well, I think the ones that are probably the most influential to my style are probably Joe Williams and Nat King Cole, and Johnny Hartman. But when I think about just me growing up and the music I listen to on a regular basis, it's Prince and Michael Jackson. Those two stood out. And when I think about sort of Michael Jackson is probably the reason why I pulled my hamstring trying to dance on that last video. But those are the artists that stand out. Bobby McFerrin is also one of my favorite vocalists as well. He's just such an amazing improviser. What he can do with his voice is just, I continue to strive for just being able to just have that dedication and focus to just make things happen. So
Right. Right. Awesome. By the way, apparently your mom is on here and she said gumbo it is. Okay. Ask and ye shall receive, right? For sure. Okay. So, let's talk about collaboration. You've had the experience of being out and working with people, but who would you most like to collaborate with at this point and juncture in your career? Not to say that there aren't others, but is there someone in particular that comes to mind?
from a vocalist standpoint, I mentioned Bobby. I would also say, Gregory Porter stands out as an amazing artist who I'd love to do something with at some point. One of my favorite duet partners is Hillary Gardner. And when I think about going back to sort of those albums, when I think about projects that are in my future, a duet album with Hillary is probably definitely on that list.
I think that's awesome. All right. So got all these folks they already started a letter writing campaign to Yoshi's. You need to bring this in. So if you could go open a show for any artist, who would it be and why?
Who would it be? Let's see. Well, can we get my father back on stage? We can get him and James Barnes back on stage.
Oh, wow.
That would be nice.
Now that would be a show for the ages. Look, that's Las Vegas stuff. Okay.
Yes, indeed. That would be great. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, okay. All right. But and I actually should have flipped that and said, if you are having your own show, really and truly, what artist would you want to open for you besides your dad?
Gosh, my brother. I know I'm trying to keep it in the family, but my brother Anthony Muhammad is an amazing piano player.
Wow, shoots, that's all good. Keep it in the family, right?
Yeah.
You know, they say more money, more money.
Right, right.
So that's the thing. All right. And so let's talk about, I love Muddy Waters. I think I have heard that so many different versions, but in your opinion, what's your favorite song to perform and why? Yeah, I mean, because there's got to be one that just gets you going. What is that?
Yeah. So I would say the one that I probably perform the most is probably Senior Blues, just because it allows me to go deep into the song, but also I end up getting inspired to dance on the drum solo, and
Hmm.
so that's probably the most. But when I think about songs that I like to perform, it sometimes it varies. There's songs that are new to my book in terms of things
Hmm.
that I'm learning that I sort of fall in love with, and then you sort of you perform it for like 6 months, and then you move on to something else, and then you circle back to it years later. And you're like, oh, why did I stop singing this song? Like,
Right.
Pure Imagination is one of those songs that stand out for me. Are you
Mm.
familiar with Pure Imagination? It's from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Did
Look,
you see
look.
that movie?
Do you want to sing it for me?
I do not, but I appreciate
He's
it.
trying to look. Let's give
I
us a
like how you
watch.
stuck that in.
Come on.
My writer specifically says no singing on the.
Really? Well, I'm just going to tell you, judging for the comments, everyone's very nice music. They're like, yes, sir. So people are
But
people are tuned in.
I,
So,
I it is on Spotify and
okay.
iTunes. And actually, if I'm looking at the numbers correctly, I did the math, and if everybody goes to Spotify right now and listens to my CD, I will make 17 cents. So let's make that happen.
Oh, okay. So Spotify under John Dokes.
Yep, Spotify.
All right, you guys heard it. So everybody, you got your phones, you're there. Let's do this. Literally, let's do this. Absolutely. And that's what it's about. I wish they would pay the artists more, but I don't think people
Yeah,
realize what goes into, making music and the fact that by the time everybody else gets paid, what trickles down to the artist is basically nothing. And
true.
yeah, I again just have music is universal language.
Yeah.
It's universal language. And so for people to not recognize, or the powers to be to not recognize that. So I'm going to ask all of you viewers out there. I see you guys. I hear you on it now. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
and put
Some
a
LinkedIn.
playlist together. Listen to some of the other artists I mentioned, like David Gibson, like all of George G's stuff,
Mhm,
Hillary Gardner, Duchess. I'm trying to think about Mickey Yamanaka.
mhm.
All of these amazing Eddie Pizzat. Listen to all these amazing artists out there, and just keep them alive. Keep
Right,
people,
right.
spread the word.
Because as you know, or
Champion Fulton. I'm sorry.
well, look, the thing is that there's so many artists who become well known after the fact, but they're starving. And that's the thing. And so, hey, one of my really good friends, Victor Fields, jazz artist, love Victor, and he's on. So, and we even got another a LinkedIn user. Thank you guys. Come on in, come on in. They're like, yes, Yoshi's. So they're asking. I'm not quite certain what the question is about. BB King. Are you asking? Link is my LinkedIn user. Are you asking if he has worked with BB King, Louis Armstrong, Miles Davis, John Coltrane? But they did say thank you, John and Gloria, for doing this show. So, you know,
Whoa. I
good
like
job. Yeah, I see. Okay. All right. So, needless to say, we're going to start this letter writing campaign to Yoshi. So you just need to have your manager get in touch with us and
Wish
say,
I could.
look, we need to book him, and we need to get there for two reasons: singing and gumbo. So
Gumbo, absolutely.
right. Okay. So let's talk about, in your opinion, how has social media, or I should say the internet, actually impacted the music business? Because we just kind of led a little bit into it. But overall, in your opinion, how has it impacted the music industry?
Well, I think it's allowed a lot of new artists to get discovered. if you think about, people on Instagram sharing either snippets of their songs, sharing their upcoming dates, people going viral because they took a certain spin on a tune, or they did an original tune. I mean, I think it's just sort of widened the playing field for a lot of different artists, and it also allowed people to sort of get back in touch with artists that they may have been following when they were younger, and they were like, you know what, I remember listening to this artist, and now here they are in my feed, and now I want to go see them again, or I want to go listen to them again. So I think it's just been great. And you can certainly go down rabbit holes, like you're saying that you went rabbit hole listening to my music, but like listening to different, artists, and like this version of their song that they did. I remember like I spent one night listening to like thousands of versions of different Sammy Davis Jr. songs for whatever reason. It just sort of just happened, and I was like in this rabbit hole, and like,
yeah. Well, for me, it was a good rabbit hole. So John Dokes was just, you were just, they said you were singing, brother. You were singing. So I was just like, and I couldn't stop. So one video to the next, to the next, to the next. I was like, oh, okay, all right. So yeah, I personally love the music, and I'm certain that my viewers, that you guys are going to love it too. So be sure and check him out. I keep, popping up his website, and like I said, he's on YouTube. But make sure that you go to Spotify. All of you who haven't, text me and said that you're on it, and let's do that.
Also,
right?
if you're planning to go down a rabbit hole, you should definitely take a look at Dawn Hampton. I mentioned before, she was she inspired me to sort of go deeper into this music, to start performing this music, live in front of people. And she was a saxophone player, growing up with her, traveled with her family band. She performed at Carnegie Hall. And then later on in her life, she became a dancer and a Lindy Hopper. And she was, before she passed away, they would fly her all over the world to teach and talk about dance. So even beyond sort of looking at me, go look at Dawn Hampton just for a 30 seconds, and you'll be like mesmerized at the amazing things that she could do.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's just awesome. See, I told you there's so much that we got to talk about, and I'm still pulling teeth out. And so
she was also a cabaret singer. She actually used to open up for Barbara Streisand back in the 70s.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, John, look, we're going to take another really quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the need for the schools to support the arts, and any advice that you may have for anyone who's wanting to sing and make singing a career. So I'll let you think about those things. Guys, thank you so much for all your comments and all of your feedback. And during this commercial break, make sure you go to Spotify and find John Dokes. Okay, he's not going to say it, so I'll be the commercial for him today. But we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back, okay?
There is the therapeutic aspect of music. Just expressing how you feel.
Kids use music as a way to provide language for their emotions.
Talking about my feelings with my mother, I'm gonna just be quiet. In the back of my head, I'm like, man, this ain't it.
I'm going to talk to Howie about his feelings, make it into a song.
Before we celebrate the freedom most Americans have, we must fight for the freedom all Americans deserve. Because all lives can't matter until Black lives matter.
Most of my family, they never graduated high school or even let alone go to college, so I'm trying to break that barrier.
My daughter Brooklyn was also a motivation for me to go back to school.
It's been so amazing to be able to give our child the life that we kind of pictured us having, even though we didn't really have that.
I've been in foster care my whole life.
He's so strong to just be able to leave that all behind and still be able to take care of his daughter and be a good husband.
Every day after work, went straight to school, studied hard, and it paid off. I could not have done it alone.
We've been through so much in our life, and he never used that as an excuse, but as motivation to do better.
I see the future is really bright for me. The high school diploma is just added to the confidence, and now I feel unstoppable.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Okay, if you guys are just tuning in to the You Didn't Get the Memo show, I have been having an awesome conversation with this awesome man, jazz artist, Mr. John Dokes. And we have just been covering the gamut. And I tell you, if you are looking for music and new artists in your arsenal, you will want to add John Dokes to that arsenal because the brother is talented and, needless to say, quite humble. Uh, and he can sing. He can sing. So before we went to break, John, one of the questions that I asked was, what are your thoughts about the need for schools to support the arts? Because a lot of kids, that's when they discover that they actually have a talent, whether it's for playing an instrument or for singing and those kinds of things. So can you just tell me your thoughts, around that, because they pull so much funding from our schools, our public schools?
Yeah, I mean, I guess my blanket statement is that people need positive outlets in general, and music is certainly one of them. For me, in my life right now, I have another career, and music has been at times what keeps me sane overall. Part earlier in my career on the work side of my life, I worked at VH1, and we had a program called VH1 Save the Music, and we were able to go into schools with, local cable stations and different artists around the country, and basically provide funding to help the schools start a music program if they would commit to a certain number of years supporting music. And just to see the look on the kids' faces as they got the new instruments, and then to come back and hear them perform later what they learned, it's just an amazing experience. So I definitely would advise anybody to sort of get involved in helping kids get access to music, or if you're writing letters, when you write the letter to Yoshi's, write another letter to your congressman saying we need music in schools.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that people underestimate the power of letter writing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? You're their constituents.
Yep.
And it's something as simple as somebody starts a letter and you copy it and sign your name to it. They pay attention to that. And that's the type of groundswell that we need, you guys. So between Yoshi's and schools, that's the thing. So,
and by the way, Mama, I'm not running for Congress or anything, so don't start writing. I'm not doing that.
Right. So let's talk about, so what advice do you have for somebody who wants to launch a singing career? I know the internet, you see people who all of a sudden they got a million viewers and all of this, but really and truly to hone your craft, what would you say to someone who wants to have a career in singing?
Yeah, I guess the first thing that I would say is that someone wants to hear you. So start with that. There's someone that wants to hear what you have to say with your voice, whether it's singing or otherwise. And so what needs to happen sort of after you realize that is just take the time to figure out what songs are best for you, what keys are best for you, and then continue to learn about how to use your instrument, whether that's a physical instrument or the voice that you have. Continue to dive deeper, continue to try new things, and then spend time around amazing musicians. I mean, for me, that's what's been the most inspiring part of this particular journey for me, is just being around musicians who are so passionate about the music, who are trying to do different things, who are trying to unlock different things about themselves that they want to share with the world. I think that's a pretty good path to go down.
Yeah, Okay. Well, those are, I think, words to live by. And you said something right off the bat. Make sure that people want to hear you because everybody that says that they can sing. Uh,
Well, I want to make sure I'm clear. There are people who want to hear you. I mean,
right.
even if you think you can't sing, there's still somebody that wants to hear you.
Okay.
But you just have to make sure that you are putting out your best of whatever that is, and
Yes.
taking the time to learn and grow as an artist.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And that totally makes a lot of sense. So, with that being said, we've already talked about the internet and how the internet has changed so many people's lives. But what about the music industry in itself? Um, if you could change anything, what would that be?
Um, you know, the first thing that comes to mind is I don't think cities in general appreciate how much music brings to the lives of their citizens.
Hmm.
Um, so I think I say that because I think I read something somewhere about a particular city that was making it easier for venues to pay rent by offering a lot of different tax breaks. I think the more venues, the more opportunities we have to sort of showcase singers across the country and across the world, I think the better for everyone. I think the audience will enjoy it. I think the people will get a chance to get on stage and express themselves. So I think that's important. From an industry standpoint, I'm sort of on the fringes of the music industry when it comes to sort of understanding the ins and outs. Like I self uh, produced my CD. I worked with a small label when I did some of my other CDs, and so there's a lot of things that happen that are not in the benefit of the artist, that I haven't experienced as much, um, but I know it's out there. I know it happens on a regular basis. But we all got to keep pushing and making sure that the artists get heard.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I agree with that 100%. So, do you have a favorite venue where you like to perform besides Yoshi's?
Several here in Chicago. My favorite venue is Winter's Jazz Club. Uh,
Mm,
in New York, I mentioned Swing 46, but there's also Mesero and the Django. In San Francisco, there's a venue called the Black Cat that I love performing at.
mhm.
Um, Ronnie Scott's in London. There's a lot of different places.
Right, right.
One
Okay.
of my favorite times performing though was when touring in Brazil with George G. Swing Orchestra. Um, the audience was just completely receptive. They were just, when we got there, like everybody, not everybody, but like we walked down the street and like almost everybody had a guitar. That they were just, that's just what they did. And so there's like this innate love of music in general. And so the audience just appreciates every nuance of what you do and what you bring to the table. So it's just great to perform for an audience who understands what you're doing.
Right. And appreciates, the music and the effort that goes into it. That's for sure.
Mhm.
In fact, let's see, I have to take you out of the stream, but I have a list of your upcoming shows. So hang tight here. So it looks like you've got shows coming up May and June. You're booked out. So sounds like July, August be a great time to come to Oakland.
I'm looking at that list. I'm gonna need a nap after all that.
Right. Well, look, because they say you're going to be a busy man, that's for sure. But at the same time, they say you never feel like that you've worked a day in your life when you do something that you love.
Very
And so I know that I can certainly relate to that. That's for sure. So when we come back, we're going to take a really, really, really quick break. But when we come back, I want you to talk about what's next for you. And, we're going to, you know, move this train along because we got some business that we got to take care of, right? So that's the thing. But I want to, just thank you guys for hanging in here. I really appreciate it. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back.
Thank you for watching the You Didn't Get the Memo show with your inspirational host, Gloria Bailey Ray. It's your contributions that make this happen. To become a sponsor, send an email to youdidn'tgetthememo@gmail. That's the letter U, didn't get the memo. If you're not in a space to be a sponsor, but you like what you hear, we simply ask that you support what you like by making a contribution to the show. There are 3 ways to make an online donation. Visit paypal.me/Gloria Bailey Ray or Cash App or Venmo, Gloria Bailey Ray. Give what you can. Your support is appreciated.
All right, so we are back with my awesome guest, Mr. John Dokes. And before we took that really quick break, I asked him to tell us what's next for him. So, what do you have going on? We know you got your calendar is full of of singing engagements, but what else do you have? What's next for Mr. John Dokes?
Well, after this, I'm going to read some books to my daughter. So that's one thing. I have 2 girls that keep me pretty busy. So from an artist standpoint, I'm sort of trying to plant the seeds right now to get myself in gear to sort of get that next CD done. I usually sort of get motivated to do it when I sort of put together an original song, and so I have some things percolating, and so we're going to make that happen soon. From a performance standpoint, you saw the list. I'm looking forward to my show at Winners Jazz Club on May 15th. Looking forward to heading down to Austin May 19th and performing with the George G. Swing Orchestra at Birdland on the 22nd of May. So all very exciting gigs that I'm looking forward to, and more, even more than that, looking forward to spending time with the musicians. It's just an amazing feeling when you get in that right groove and that right hang with people who love the music as much as I do. So
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Well, I have one last question.
Uh-oh. Is this going to be like a trick question? You can this got you. You're not going to make me cry, are you? Because
you cry easily. You cry easily. Okay, listen. I just want to ask you, what do you want viewers who are watching the show today to take away from our time together here on the You Didn't Get the Memo show?
I think we touched on the importance of music to everyone's lives, not just the people performing it, but the experience that you have when you are listening and appreciating music. So I hope we all take a moment after this to just sit down and listen to your favorite tune. It doesn't have to be mine. It should be mine. It doesn't have to be mine. It should be mine. But just take a moment and listen to some music. It's important. It feeds the soul. And I appreciate the time we've had together.
Well, I want you to know that we certainly appreciate you. And I want to thank you for being on the show today. It really and truly is my hope that the viewers who tuned in and those who will watch this later on is that you will find that the information that was shared by jazz artist John Dokes has been educational, informational, and also inspirational as well. And I want you to be sure and check out his shows if you're in the area. I've been popping off and on all of the websites, so where you will be able to find him. And yes, we will continue to push the envelope with Yoshi's, that's for sure. John, don't you go anywhere. I'm going to be right back with you. I want to just say, guys, thank you so much for being here. I am one that never takes it for granted, and I want you to know how much I really appreciate you being here. Be sure and follow me on all of my social media platforms and mark your calendars for every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific time for the You Didn't Get the Memo show. I actually invite you to add the You Didn't Get the Memo show to your weekly list of shows. I guarantee you will not be disappointed. Also, if you missed an episode, you can always go back and watch the replay. Just look for You Didn't Get the Memo on YouTube or Facebook. Again, I appreciate all of you. Thank you for your support and for tuning in. It's been a blast. And as I always say, if you didn't take anything away from today's show, then it's you who didn't get the memo. I'll leave you with this. The quality of your life is determined by the decisions that you make. Until this time next week, guys, allow perseverance to walk you into your purpose. Have a wonderful week. Give thanks for all of your blessings. Stay safe. And always remember to pay it forward. I'm your host, Gloria Bailey Ray. Peace and blessing, y'all. Take care.